Imagine this, you're in Europe sipping your coffee and suddenly your favorite imported American goods double in price. Sounds shocking, right? Well, with the US unveiling new tariff plans, that might be more reality than fiction. But what's behind these plans? How are European nations reacting? And why should you care? Stick around because we're about to unravel the story of trade wars, political maneuvering, and global economic chess. And trust me, you'll want to see how it all plays out. So, let's set the scene. The US has just announced a wave of new tariffs targeting European goods. Why? They claim it's to protect American industries and workers, but critics say it's more like setting fire to a fragile trade relationship. Think of it as saying, I'm protecting my house by setting my neighbor's yard on fire. Now Europe is left wondering, what next? Let's break down the shopping list of doom. Cheese, wine, automobiles, the stuff that makes life worth living. The US wants to slap higher prices on these goods, making them less attractive to American consumers. It's like your favorite wine suddenly getting a luxury tax just because politics got spicy. Europe's response, you touch our brie, we riot. But let's get serious for a second. What's really driving these tariffs? It's a long-standing feud over trade imbalances and subsidies. The US claims European policies give their businesses unfair advantages. Europe says, hey, we're just playing by the rules. So, who's right? More importantly, who's going to blink first? Europe isn't taking this lying down. French President Emmanuel Macron called it a provocation. German officials are considering retaliatory measures. It's like a game of political tennis with economies as the ball. Will Europe serve back with its own tariffs? Let's just say they're warming up their swing. Imagine you're a small Italian vineyard. You've spent years building a loyal customer base in the US, and now, boom, your wine's too pricey for the average American. Businesses across Europe are bracing for impact. One French cheesemaker summed it up with a shrug. C'est la guerre, translation, this is war, and what about us, the consumers? Higher prices, fewer options. If you love European imports, your wallet is about to feel very, very empty. But hey, maybe it's time to start a new diet. Who needs French cheese and Italian wine anyway? Spoiler, we all do. Here's where things get dicey. If both sides dig in, this could escalate into a full-blown trade war. And we all know how that ends. Everyone loses. It's like two kids in a sandbox throwing sand until no one can see. The global economy is the sandbox, and right now the sandstorm is brewing. Let's take a quick trip down memory lane. This isn't the first time the US and Europe have clashed over trade. Remember the 2002 steel tariffs or the Airbus-Boeing dispute that dragged on for 16 years? History tells us these battles are long, bitter and expensive. Will history repeat itself? If so, strap in. It's going to be a bumpy ride. But wait, it's not just Europe and the US in this mess. Other countries are watching closely. China, Canada, even smaller economies are wondering if they'll get caught in the crossfire. It's like watching two giants wrestle while everyone else tries to avoid getting crushed. Of course, politics is never far behind. With elections looming, US politicians are using these tariffs to score points with voters. But at what cost? European leaders face their own pressures to stand firm. It's a political chess match, but someone's economy is going to get checkmated. So is there a way out? Maybe. Diplomats are working behind the scenes to cool things down. Picture a group of tired negotiators in a smoky room trading compromises like they're at a flea market. Will they succeed, or are we doomed to higher prices and trade tantrums? And if they don't, more tariffs, more backlash, and a lot more economic pain. It's like a bad breakup where both sides refuse to move on. Nobody wants that, except maybe popcorn sellers watching the drama unfold. So here's the million-dollar question. Will cooler heads prevail, or are we on the brink of a trade disaster? The clock is ticking, and every passing day brings new twists. You might want to buckle up because this ride is far from over. If you want to stay ahead of more US-related news, check out our next video where we dive into another major story shaping America's policies. Don't miss out. Click now and stay informed. Gap2S. Now let's delve deeper into the historical context of US-Europe trade relations. Over the past century, numerous instances have seen tariffs and trade policies causing friction between these two economic giants. Take the Smoot-Hawley Tariff Act of 1930, for instance. This infamous act led to a significant escalation in global trade tensions, contributing to the severity of the Great Depression. Fast forward to more recent times, and we have disputes over digital services taxes where European countries sought to impose taxes on American tech giants. Gap 3S. These events are not just historical footnotes, they've shaped the very fabric of the current trade landscape. Each conflict, each resolution, and each compromise has added a layer of complexity to US-Europe trade relations. It's like a chess game where every move has long-term repercussions. Gap 2S. What lessons can we learn from this rich and complex history? First, that trade wars are rarely won outright. They leave scars that take years, if not decades, to heal. Second, that diplomacy, though slow and frustrating, remains the best path forward. And lastly, that the interconnectedness of today's global economy means that what happens between these two giants reverberates around the world. Gap 2S. So, as we watch the current tariff drama unfold, it's essential to remember the past. Understanding history gives us the tools to navigate the future. Will we learn from these lessons, or are we destined to repeat the mistakes of the past? Only time will tell. Gap 2S. If you found this exploration intriguing, stay tuned for more deep dives into the intricate web of trade policies and their far-reaching impacts. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. Knowledge is power, and we're here to keep you informed. Gap 2S. Now let's shift our focus to the potential future scenarios. What could happen if the US and Europe fail to reach an agreement? Gap 2S. The stakes are high, and the outcomes could range from a prolonged trade war to a potential resolution through diplomatic channels. Gap 2S. Imagine a scenario where neither side backs down. Tariffs could escalate, affecting not just the two economies, but rippling across the global market. Industries from automotive to agriculture could face severe disruptions, leading to higher prices for consumers and strained supply chains. Gap 3AS. On the other hand, there is the possibility of a diplomatic resolution. Experts believe that through persistent negotiation and compromise, a middle ground can be found. This would not only stabilize the current situation, but also pave the way for more robust and resilient trade agreements in the future. Gap 3S. We reached out to several experts to weigh in on the likelihood of each scenario. Many agree that while a prolonged trade war is possible, the interconnected nature of today's global economy makes a diplomatic resolution more likely. The cost of conflict is simply too high for both sides. Gap 2S. So what does this mean for global trade? If diplomacy prevails, we could see a new era of cooperation and mutual benefit, setting a precedent for future trade policies. However, if tensions continue to rise, the repercussions could be felt worldwide, from emerging markets to established economies. Gap 2S. This analysis underscores the importance of understanding the stakes involved. The future of US-Europe trade relations is not just a bilateral issue, it's a global concern. Gap 2S. Stay tuned as we continue to monitor and analyze these developments. Make sure to subscribe and click the bell icon to stay updated on our latest videos. Knowledge